Do they have legitimate arguments that I don't want to see a monument that reminds me of, racism in my country from 100 years ago?
Well, why not put a plaque on it explaining the good things the person did, if they did any, and also warts and all? So we have an historical reference that includes the entirety of what that person did. Yes, he gave money to hospitals. Yes, he gave money to build schools, but he also had slaves and made his money from slavery. So we have history. Where we've come from gives us a fix on where we are. When you remove all knowledge of history, you lose focus and understanding of where you are. For instance, Marxist regimes have cost the lives of 100 million people. Now, if we have that in our history and we know it, we know that ain't a place to go. Because what happens is you have the revolution, and at the end of the revolution eats itself because another tyranny replaces the one you're revolting against. So you'd say, well, no, we can't go down that road. Look what's happened, 100 million people. China, Cambodia, etc. Soviet Union. But if you can remove that and dilute it, that's what's been happening in the schools and universities, the diluting of history and the teaching of history, then you can persuade people that haven't got that knowledge that maybe Marxism is a good way to go. And you've got so much of the woke mentality calling for a Marxism. Hold on a minute, 100 million dead people. It's a frickin' tyranny, just like fascism. But if you have your history, you know that in the present. If you don't, it's all new to you. Oh yeah, Marxism, that sounds like a good idea. And so if you look at Orwell's 1984, he wrote a lot about the need to destroy history, because that allows you to control the perception of the present by controlling the perception of the past. It's very important. This great line about if we don't learn the lessons of history, we are destined to repeat them. Well, they don't want us to learn the lessons of history, because so many things that have happened in history, they want to happen now, but in the modern sense.
So if we remove those statues, we might actually repeat what's going to happen in the past, possibly.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, if people want to decide to put those statues in a museum or something and put other statues up, but and again, who the hell hasn't got a warts and all? You know what I mean? I don't quote the Bible very much, but let he who hath no sin cast the first stone is a good one. And like I said earlier, if we're not streetwise and informed, you can get groups of people motivated and driven by an organization funded by the same network behind slavery to demand that statues are brought down, or indeed pull them down with chains because of their connection to slavery. Crazy, man. But this is what happens when you don't get informed and you just react instead of look at the wider picture. Slavery was appalling, but don't let's kid ourselves that it ended, just taken a different form. Slavery is massive in the world today. Children trafficking, people trafficking, endless around the world. And the human race in itself is enslaved because of its inability to make choices, thus have the freedom to decide its own destiny because of the impositions upon them, not least economic. So let's get the idea that slavery was a period. Slavery is still going on today, and all slavery needs to be addressed. And we're only what is more enslaved than someone who acquiesces to authority without question? That's self-enslavement. And if we want to be free, then we have to demand freedom. Not just demand freedom, we have to act freedom. So when people say you're going to do this, you just don't do it. If you think this is enslaving, or this is enslaving, or this is destroying my freedom, legitimate freedom in a free society, like you must do this, you must do that, you must wear a mask, then if you acquiesce to it, then we're enslaving ourselves. Do you want to wear that mask? Well, no, I think it's ridiculous, but I better do it because this bloke in a peak cap just told me I've got to. Well, I'll do it. And if more and more people, enough people don't do it, then the guy in the peak cap's got no power whatsoever. But we give our power to these people. We talk about, oh, he's just a job's worth, you know, all that stuff. Well, don't do what he says then. You know, the answers are staring us in the face. The few control the many of all colors, creeds, because the many give their power to the few. We've got to stop doing it and stop being divided and fighting among ourselves so we don't focus on that which is enslaving all of us.